Hello, welcome to your virtual star party for what is it, the 1st of June 2014. I'm your host, Scott Lewis, and Fraser is off at a birthday party, so
Quiet.
and the dogs are being loud, but that's okay. We will push on.
Let me mute.
So, what our show is, and actually we'll be talking about a few changes going on in the show for the future a little bit later on in this episode. But what we do is we connect video cameras to the Hangouts on Air to show live views of the cosmos. So I know a lot of people right now are watching Cosmos or have already watched it. But what we have been doing for 2.5 years now is getting amateur astronomers from across the world to share their live views or their very close to live views into the Hangout on Air and have discussions on that. And with us tonight from North Carolina, we have Michael Phillips. How you doing, Mike?
I am excellent. How you doing, Scott?
I am. It's actually kind of warm. We had an earthquake
Really?
earlier, about an hour ago. That was fun.
Wow.
So if things start shaking, it's either my wobbly monitor stand or we're having another earthquake. But it wasn't that bad.
It's just old age setting in. You get the shakes.
I didn't feel it actually. Twitter told me. Twitter told me that we were having an earthquake.
Nice.
I didn't feel it, but oh well. And also with us is Bill. How you doing, Bill?
Hi there. I experienced an earthquake too, except it was in New Zealand when I was down there about a month and a half ago. I was in Christchurch and sitting in my motel room, and we had a
Really? What was on the Richter scale?
4.5.
4.5. Okay, so
Yeah, it was probably
the world move underneath you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one that was a little while ago. I think it was around a 5, but that was my first actual California earthquake, I suppose, where I actually got to feel things. So that was pretty interesting. So I'm going to do a quick let people know how to get a hold of us, what's the best way of asking questions, making comments, all that fun stuff. So you're watching this on YouTube or Google+. I do have the Q&A app turned on, so you should be able to see it on the bottom left on YouTube, or it should pop up directly on Google+, and I'm already seeing a bunch of questions pop in here. You can also leave comments and your pictures in the Google+ event. So we do have photo sharing turned on with the Google+ event. So share your own astrophotography with us, and I will be sharing them out throughout the show to see what you guys have taken. And also we're on Twitter. I am Scientific Scott, and also we have an official Virtual Star Party Twitter account called _VSP. So if you're on Twitter, give us a follow and show us your pics, because I retweet those out quite often. So let's see here. I'm going to jump at a few quick questions while we're looking at Michael. What are we looking at, Michael?
So I have the wonderful planet of Saturn with its rings. This is, for me, this is a low magnification. If you've seen my shares of Saturn before in the replays of the Virtual Star Party, you'll notice it's usually much bigger. So I figured I'd go for the low magnification to pull out some of the moons. I'll switch the camera settings around in a minute here, but if you notice, there's the rings have opened up over the last couple of years too, if you're a regular viewer. So I think the rings are around 23 degrees inclination, so they're getting wider now, whereas in 2009 they were nearly edge on. And there's a little dark line, if you have a keen eye, that goes all the way around, and it's very noticeable out on the edges, called the Cassini division, which is named after the astronomer Cassini, not the spacecraft that's visiting right now. And it is usually a good indication to the local seeing conditions and your telescope's resolving power. So the fact that we can see it on a live display is actually a pretty good thing. And I took a bunch of pictures before that I will process and post at some point tomorrow morning. So.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Not only do you have clear skies for once, but you actually have some good seeing going on. So we can actually, I can see, at least over here, some of the bands on Saturn itself. But yeah, seeing the Cassini division, that little on the outskirts of the ring, you can actually see that little break, and that is the break in the tiny. Gosh, it's only 10 meters thick. I believe 10 meters. I believe so.
It's maybe 100. It's not very big. No.
Yeah,
The thickness of the rings is very thin. You know, I don't follow all the spacecraft news. I really should, given how much of a Planet fan I am. But I think they were noticing some protuberances, and I think the outer ring is the A ring, and I think they found some indications maybe of a moon formation or the possibility of a moon formation. So Cassini has been serving pretty well in the mission and finding stuff still.
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot of different things going on with Cassini, and yeah, I did hear about the moons forming, which I think is awesome. I love that we're using, Cassini's been around for a while, not the division, but the spacecraft, and we're still using it to find all sorts of amazing, amazing things with it. I like how we're using the spacecraft to we're using the effects that Enceladus had on the trajectory of the spacecraft itself, and the Doppler effect, the light it's being sent back, the radio light it's sending back to Earth to find out that it had a subsurface ocean on Enceladus. So this spacecraft that's going around, they're sending these beautiful images back to us. It's been around for a while. It's still bringing out great science, beautiful images, and we're finding out all sorts of new things with this. So I think we should send more things out there. Cassini 4.0. We can go 2, 3, and 4.0.
Well, speaking of Enceladus, let me see if I can change the camera settings here, and we can go moon hunting too. I purposefully went with a low magnification because the moons are easier to pick out. I know Enceladus is in here somewhere, so let me see if I can find that for you.
Let's see. Jim Meeker asks, will the VSP be or is it not to be this evening? That is the question. Well, the question is, it be? Yeah, we are. And as you can see here, we have one astronomer with us, and then we also, Bill is also an astronomer. He doesn't have a view because it's still kind of light outside for Bill. And this is going to, I guess, be a good seg for us to talk about what changes we're going to be doing, and this is a big reason why. So, as many of you know and have been pretty upset about, including myself and Fraser's, we've had to cancel a lot recently because of weather, and it's still being light out for Stuart and Bill and things like that, just because of the time of the year. So what we're going to be doing, and before I get all the angry comments first, we're going to be doing the VSP once per month, which I know, calm down, sit down everybody, once a month. But what we'll be doing instead is we'll be having our live views like Michael's bringing it, and many of the others that are able to bring live views, but we'll also be supplementing them with a lot of the astrophotography that's done by our astronomers throughout the week. So we won't have to worry about if weather's out, well, we'll have to cancel. No, we'll always go no matter what the weather's like for any of our astronomers, and it'll give access to a lot of the other types of images that our astronomers are able to do. Like Bill, for instance, brings out some amazing astrophotography. Same thing with Paul Stewart, and we like to be able to showcase those throughout. We'll also be setting up special guests that'll be coming and joining us too. And since we're able to plan these far enough in advance, we can actually get them in and get everything going. So we're looking forward to that. And then it will also help generate some better discussion in the event pages with the different images coming out, because we'll know about them a little bit ahead of time, and we can prepare some things in upper production game. So that is going to be happening because we want to make sure we don't have to cancel it all. That's our biggest thing, is we hate canceling the show, because Fraser and I, we always get ready for the show, and it's always down to the wire where just the weather's bad, and we can't bring any live views, and we don't have anything to back it up with because we haven't set up any images ahead of time. So this should be able to fix that problem, and it gives our astronomers enough time to really build up some images to be able to share them in, and we can really focus and highlight on those. I'm a little scared to look at the comments right now from that, but let's yep.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll take a bullet for you. I know that sometimes it takes me a month to get one clear sky. So depending upon the season, it can be a while.
You're a clear sky, and
yes, I got it tonight, and I'm sharing it. See.
So what are we looking at over here?
The first thing you'll notice is, Saturn is very overexposed in the middle, and so it kind of looks like an egg shape now, whereas before you could see the rings, and now it's just I increased the camera settings, so we're getting too much light coming in from Saturn, but we can pick off the moons now. So the first thing you'll notice is that it's kind of moving in a blob-shaped kind of way, but you'll notice also little green spots kind of in the center that don't move. Those are hot pixels. Those are not moons, so try to ignore those. Now, right straight down around the 6 o'clock position, there's one bright moon, and I'll share the actual simulation views in a moment. That's Rhea, R-H-E-A. And down around the 4 o'clock position is Tethys, another moon. And then off to the left, around the maybe 9:30 position, is Dione. Now, inside of Dione, just in the kind of hazy glow of Saturn, is Enceladus itself. If you gotta almost wait a couple of turns here. I'm gonna move it down so it'll, and then we'll go to Titan. Titan's actually a little farther away there. It just popped into view pretty good. So and then I think Mimas, which is around the same brightness as Enceladus, is not quite visible. That's down around the 7 o'clock position, and I think that one's lost. But I definitely see Enceladus is just inside the little hazy edge between the edge of the rings and the darkness of space.
Right.
And it pops in and out.
Enceladus, one of my favorite moons in our solar system.
Yeah, let me see if I can get the wind Jupo simulation is pretty good. I don't know if it's, I've been having problems screen sharing. I don't know if it's my computer or what. Nope, not working. Not happy.
And I'm seeing black right now.
Yeah, all right, I'll go back to the live view here. Take my word for it. Those are the names.
I believe you. Only because I've met you in person. But beforehand, you're just some dude in the internet, and I don't know.
Nameless, faceless people. All right, so let's go to Titan here. So we're gonna blur.
Let's go to Titan. Actually,
yes.
I did a project back in college where we actually designed a mission to Titan, where we had to work with a bunch of other students, and we actually had to design and what type of mission we wanted to do on it. It was a really good way to dig into how to, I guess more the budgetary things, because you have to think about mass and and what types of science you're able to do, and you have to compete with other science teams to get what you want, and there's a lot of arguing back and forth. It gave me a lot of insight into what actually goes on there, even though it's not the full budgetary thing, but it was a lot of like, okay, you have this amount of mass, and you're allowed to do this. Try to find what you're going to do, and so we're able to put a lot of the instruments we already had, available from other planetary missions, and okay, well, we want to test this, we can use that, and it was pretty cool. So I think it's something to where students can still do that. I know a lot of programs still do on, hey, what do we think about planetary exploration? Well, we can think about it in ways that planetary scientists need to get out there to give an idea more than just we're just going to buy a $2.5 billion robot and send it to another planet. It's not that easy. There's a lot that goes on.
And then the plot twist at the end of the semester was, and what exactly are you going to use it for?
Right.
And you're like, oh, damn, we never thought about that.
Right.
Now, I had a similar class, actually, because ours was astrobiology. So we had to kind of go through all the different chemical and empirical forms of life and things like that. So it was kind of similar, but I think yours is a more interesting. I'm a bit more of an engineer now than I was when I was in college. So your course sounds a little more intriguing.
So what are we looking at here on the top?
So so I moved Saturn down towards the bottom, and that little bright spot on the top, that's actually Titan. Titan is the brightest moon of Saturn and the second largest in the solar system. And so I think it's actually overexposed in these settings here, but I set these so that we could get Enceladus and some of the inner moons. But here, I'll bring it more towards the center, so you watch that move down there. See, so coming down, and then I'll try to move it towards the center, a little bit more towards the left. So Titan. That might be a first. I don't know. Has anybody shared Titan before?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll say you did until we have someone prove us wrong. So we have viewers out there. We have quite a few. Have we shown Titan before? Let us know in the comments.
There you
go. Right now, I'm going to say we've not seen Titan, but prove me wrong, and you will get a space cookie.
It's easy to look past, I think. I mean, you get a wide field view and you're like, ooh, look at all the moons, but you don't maybe kind of go through and dissect it. And it's confusing usually. If I could get the screen share up, it'd be easier to tell which one's which. I'll post it later in the here. If I
While you do that, I'm going to pull over Paul since Paul joined us here. How you doing, Paul?
Hello.
How are you?
All right.
And what are we looking at? Down in New Zealand.
Somewhere in there should be Mercury.
An upside down Mercury. Yes.
no way, that's awesome. Look at that. Sweet.
No, that looks really good. So what time is it there right now?
It's 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
4 p.m. And we are seeing. Oh, that's fantastic. Shouldn't you be at work?
It's the Queen's birthday today, so we get to celebrate.
Sweet. All right. Well, thank you, Queen, for having a birthday and letting Mercury come into the VSP. No, that's great. Which telescope are you shooting with?
It's a 132mm refractor.
Pretty one.
And I don't want to confuse somebody with my New Zealand hat. I just happened to have been down there a month or two ago. I think I'm the wrong person here.
Did you guys meet up?
Some solidarity.
It was cloudy most of the time I was there, as I said, so unfortunately.
That's a shame. No, that's great. I think we've had Mercury once or twice in the Hangout. It's not one of the ones we get that often, but I love you can really see the crescent shape on there really, really well. So I'm going to keep that up there and look, because, oh man, after I made that announcement, I'm seeing a bunch of questions in the Q&A app, so I'm going to try to parse through those while we continue to look through Mercury. Let's see here. I'm a Great Scott. Yes. Yes, Michael. Great Scott. Michael Jobman is awesome. He actually follows on a lot of the shows that we do. So how's it going, Michael? Yes. That's what Perry White says. Let's see. So Jim Meeker's asking, so a show every week, but live VSP 1 week in 4 with astrophotography filling in the other 3, or am I not understanding? No, we're going to be doing one show every month, and it's going to fall anywhere between the waxing crescent and the first quarter. That way, our astrophotographers that do some longer exposures aren't going to have a blown out moon to fight with, but also those that do show us the moon are able to bring that as well. And that way, some astrophotography can be done beforehand by our astronomers to let us know which images, and we can actually choose which images we want to bring into the show, and have a full show already ready to go each episode. So we're not having to worry about if we're going to have enough astronomers show up, what's the weather going to be like, up to like 5 minutes before the show where we have to cancel last minute and let everybody down. So I hope that clears it up there, Jim. But also, we will be doing random stuff going on. So if we find a bunch of astronomers are doing stuff and Fraser or I are free, we will definitely crank it on and say, hey, this is what's going on. So that is a good cue to make sure that the Virtual Star Party circled, either Fraser or I are circled, and subscribe to our YouTube channels. And that way you guys can know when we're live, whether or not you have RSVP to any event, because a lot of times it will just be, oh, well, a lot of things are happening, we're just going to go live now, and hopefully you guys are there. So make sure to do that, because we do like to play things fast and loose around here too, but we want to make sure we can deliver every time we plan an episode, and that's one of our biggest things that bug us is when we have to cancel, because we really hate canceling. I think Brian Lefkowitz is exaggerating a bit. The last VSP was 3 or 4 years back. I think it was 3.5 years back was our last episode. But thanks, Brian, because you're being a jackass. I'm going to head on over to Bill real quick. What are we looking at, Bill?
That's M101. I was working on that about a week ago. That just happens to be a single 10-minute image with a TOA 130 and a SBIG ST8300. So I've got a whole bunch of other images, but I haven't had time to assemble them into a color image yet. But
So
Anyway,
you said that was one 10-minute exposure?
Hmm?
That
Those
was
are
one.
one. Let me check to be sure. I can pull that information up here in just a minute. Um, that was a single, 10-minute exposure.
10-minute exposure. Oh, that's great.
And the other one, which is, and this gives you kind of, the next one here will give you kind of an idea of the relative brightness of things. The M101 is actually a pretty bright galaxy. It's one of the brighter ones. This object, which you can barely see, is Vandenberg 123, which is a dark nebula, and this is also a 10-minute exposure, but you can just barely see the dark nebula, and it's very noisy. You can kind of see almost a man-shaped kind of legs and torso here, I'll probably need 15 or 20 hours of exposure time by the time I get enough to really be able to put it into a color image that looks like something. But it does kind of illustrate the limitations of a live image, even a 10-minute long one, which is actually longer than most star parties would let you do.
Right.
Objects like this are pretty much just out of the realm of the possible for star parties, simply because you don't have the time, and that is one of the things that will be probably better about the new format, is that we'll be able to see some images of objects like that that'll look like something other than a blob.
And I do love you guys, but even though we have the capability of doing an 8-hour hangout, I am not doing an 8-hour hangout.
I'd be asleep by that time.
Right.
In fact, with automation, I mean, as we were saying earlier, I started doing this in 1993 when the cameras were like 193 by 162 pixels, which is like a 0.2 megapixel, I think, right? And in those days, you would stay up all night to do your CCD imaging because you had to manually focus every once in a while. You had to watch the tracking to make sure it was working correctly. Nowadays, you get everything set up with automation. You basically set it up, tell it to take pictures of the exposures you want, and you go to bed.
Right.
In the morning.
The internet and technology has allowed us to do so much now. And because I've seen a lot of yours come through that you've done automated, even just your setup, which I think later on in the show I want to, if you have your cameras on in there, I'd love to show everyone what your setup is. Hop back over to Paul real quick, because Paul's brought something else here, showing off. What are we looking at, Paul?
Jeez.
I know what we're looking at, but come on. Talk to me here.
It's sort of a wavy, very bright Jupiter.
Oh, that's great.
I think you're catching it at its prime now. It's getting closer and closer to the sun. It's more of a daytime object than a nighttime object at this point. That looks awesome.
That is beautiful. So yeah, I definitely see the banding on there in Jupiter. You said it's 4:30 in the afternoon over there?
It is.
Jeez.
This isn't even upside down or right side up. It's just sideways.
What are you trying to pull, Paul?
He's going neutral. He's trying to appease to the northern and southern hemisphere. See,
it's the Queen's birthday. We're going on the side.
I should like this planet on its side, please.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, with the setup that you're using, are you able to overexpose it to show any of the moons around?
Doubt we'll get any in the sun, but we can try.
I don't want you to ruin anything. Don't
break the camera on our account.
Yeah,
I'm impressed enough.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Yeah, do not break anything. I am not Fraser. I will not have you sacrifice your equipment for my pleasure. That is amazing, and it's in color and it's live. You are the man, Paul. That is fantastic. Now, I know it's winter out there. Is it getting chilly?
Oh, it's nice 12 degrees out here at the moment.
That's not too bad. Not for the middle of winter, at least. And the 12 centigrade, not Fahrenheit, for all of our Americans watching us.
So I learned something new just, in fact, this last year, that because we're getting June bugs out here now because it's June, right? And they don't call them June bugs in the southern hemisphere. They have them, but they're called Christmas bugs. I didn't know that, and it makes perfect sense, right? It's cold down there.
So
it's actually cold here too. But
do you have any Christmas bug stories, Paul?
I've never seen a Christmas bug.
Maybe it's an Aussie thing then. I don't know. I thought it was just a down under thing. I figured if they had made their way all the way down there, then they were, on your part of the woods.
I'm pretty sure the hobbits killed them all.
Killed them all. They were peaceful creatures. Come on now.
Well, maybe they use them for other things. Maybe they're hallucinogenic or something.
Nefarious Christmas bugs.
We're going to hop over to Michael's image now of our other Jovian planet that we're looking at tonight.
Yeah, we get a nighttime view of the queen of the solar system with her ring. This is it might be pushing it a little too much. I don't know.
I'm loving this.
That's good, right?
Yeah, that looks really good.
Now I noticed too, for the discerning eye, it's a little blue on the top and a little red on the bottom. Now Paul's got a leg up on me because Saturn has sunk low into my part of the sky here, and it's risen high into his part of the sky. So I get some chromatic refraction through the atmosphere at this altitude that Saturn's at. So I might be picky. I don't know.
And you're using your 14-inch, right?
Yes. So I have my 14-inch with the color camera on here.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. You can see that every once in a while the Cassini division pops in real nice, and you can see it almost all the way around. So what's neat, at this magnification, it's easier to see the globe of Saturn itself is in front of the rings on the top, and then on the bottom the rings actually go in front of the globe.
Right.
Yes.
And we're actually able to resolve that right now. It looks great.
Yeah. It may be harder to tell before, and it's a little easier now. And the other thing, so there's the main rings that you can see from Earth are A, B, and C. The Cassini division separates the A and the B. So the outer ring is the A ring. The inner ring is the B ring. Now the C ring is sort of hard to see in a live view, but it's this. Some people call it the crepe ring because it's this thin, transparent ring that is in the inner part of the A and the B. And it goes in front of the planet's disk along the bottom here, and you can see it sort of on the elbows, on the outside, a little bit every once in a while too.
On the elbows.
Yeah, on the elbows. So if Saturn's kind of long in the way we're viewing it now,
right?
And on the long view, right around the inside of the B ring is the C ring, and you'll see it in the live views. It's actually pretty cool. Or not the live views, the processed views.
Right.
Sorry.
Oh, that's great. And of course, Paul's just gonna jump around to every planetary object he can.
And he's got all. I'm sitting on Saturn. I'm camping out, and he's got all the rest of them.
He's like, yeah. Oh,
thanks,
so
man.
You got Saturn. Don't worry, I got the rest of the solar system. Don't you worry about it. So now you've switched scopes, haven't you?
Yeah, I've gone to an 80mm refractor now.
Man. So we're looking at here, the upside down into the side moon again. But I'm trying to remember because I have not looked at the phases of the moon from the southern hemisphere. Does your terminator go from left to right or right to left as the month goes through?
Backwards to whatever yours is.
Yeah. So because ours will move to the left, but okay, so. I always have, because I know that what we're looking at from different perspectives, but thinking about two spheres from different angles of it and which way they are relative to the sun is a little bit hard to wrap around with my brain. So maybe I'll have to make a YouTube video later on about what it looks like from different areas and explain why. But your view, I don't care what Fraser says about you. You are still a rock star. There, see?
Oh, man. Now he's just showing off.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's flipping the moon.
And I'll make it dance. And I'll show it's really made of cheese.
That's awesome.
Yes. Oh wow, that's.
Wait, don't stop there. Now it's confusing. I feel like I'm falling.
See, now we're upside down.
Yeah.
Way to go.
And the cheese is gonna fall out.
Yeah. It just
I
got
hate when
winter
that
here. He just wanted to warm things up.
Yeah,
Paul, you're killing it.
love it.
So, gosh, we have a lot of comments here tonight. So, and they're not angry. Which, thank you for not being angry.
People are just happy to have a star party. You know what?
I-
Sometimes it's good just to see the night sky, even if it's jumping all over the place.
That's right. So, thank you, first of all, everyone, for not being angry. Second, I'm going to reply to some real quick here. Helen, she had some trouble missing the beginning, but where's Fraser? Did he have a written note excusing his absence? No, he did not. Actually, no, he let me know yesterday. He's at a birthday party, and so I did excuse him. It's his dad's birthday party, so I think that's excusable.
This time.
But I didn't get a note, so he does still get demerits and an hour of detention. That's what happens. Let's see here. That's over on the Google Plus event page, and we already have some images coming in here too. So a good reminder for those of you watching, if you have your own astrophotography that you're doing, please share them into the event page over on Google Plus. And in about 10 to 15 minutes, I'll hop over there and start sharing those images as we're going through here. And I'm loving some of these comments coming in through already. Let me see. I think it was Jim Meeker again. After the explanation there, but he's going to pull out his 20-inch telescope, which means yes, that this is another big reason we want to be able to feature more of you guys that might not necessarily have the capabilities of live streaming, but still want to participate, and that's going to be a big thing. So please, for all of you that that do jump in with images throughout the time, even if you're not able to join us live, like live streaming, like Paul and Mike are doing. We still would love to see your work and have you take part in the virtual star party as well. So yeah, that was from Jim Meeker. And Vance asked here for you, Michael, are you using a PowerMate tonight, or he just got a 2.5x yesterday?
Yeah, so actually, if you were around for the beginning part of the star party, I was using the 2.5. And this view right now is actually the 5x PowerMate. I love both of them, actually.
So, and what exactly were we talking about there for the non-jargon filled? What are we talking about?
So when you get a telescope, and it doesn't matter what kind of telescope, you typically have some kind of an eyepiece that will slip into a little thing, you'll tighten a thumb screw down, and you can look through it. And sometimes you'll get a varying couple of eyepieces that'll give you different magnifications, and the eyepiece has different lenses in it that give you a wide field of view or a narrow field with more magnification. When you put a camera in, you're essentially replacing the eyepiece. So what happens is you end up at a fixed focal ratio, which is typically whatever the focal ratio is for the telescope. Now, if you want to make that view bigger, you put something in between the telescope and the camera, and those are called Barlows. And this particular Barlow goes by a branding name of PowerMate, but it's I think slightly different than a typical Barlow, but it's essentially a way to magnify an image for a camera.
Gotcha.
And that's why the image has jumped in size.
Just interrupt, guys.
Yeah, Paul?
This should be the ISS going past.
Nice. Oh, you did it.
I can try and zoom in.
Oh, wow.
Dude, you're awesome.
Very nice.
This is cool.
I've often wanted to try that. My Paramount supposedly will do that, but I've never had the opportunity.
And a day's time passed,
You
nonetheless.
have done it. Fraser's going to be so pissed.
Hey, you know what? I'm an American, and I don't get to say this very often, but God bless the Queen.
Yes.
I'm so glad you got off today, man.
Paul, I am actually, you know what? I am going to text Fraser right now, and he's going to be PO'd.
Hope your dad's having a good birthday.
Yep. Oh man, that's great.
That was cool.
While you're refreshing over, oh wait, there it is.
Mhm.
There it is. Ah,
Wicked cool.
you win the internet, sir. All of it. It's yours.
Is this the first one we've had?
This is the first one. We've been
2 or
wanting
3
to
years?
get this for a long time.
So cool. You planned this the whole time, didn't you?
Yeah,
Oh, come on. You knew.
He's been working. Oh man.
That's it. It's gone.
Yeah. That was excellent timing, man. That was super cool.
Thank you for interrupting. That is
Yes.
brilliant. Oh wow. So while you like somehow create a new planet to image, I'm gonna hop on over to Bill and take a look over that. While Bill explains, I'm going to be tweeting out real quick and replying to some Twitter. So I'm going to mute myself for a moment while Bill, if you want to take it away and share with us.
Just a quick question for Paul. What scope was that through?
That was just the 132 mil refractor on the parrot mount.
Okay. Cool. What I've got up now is nothing particularly spectacular. Again, it's a work in progress. It's one image on Ro Ophiuchi, which is basically the area around Antares. It's this happens to be a red raw image, and hopefully it's with the TOA 130. So hopefully we'll be able to put something together after another 45 minutes or an hour or two or however many I need of exposure time. And then I will also, they were asking about equipment, and it sounds like mine is very similar to Paul's in terms of the overall setup, and that looks kind of like this, not including the dog. And a better view of it would be from the top like that. So 3 refractors.
Your Canons?
Oh, the cameras?
No, as in just they look like
Canons
mounted.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, the camera up in the top here is a Canon.
Oh, there you go.
Which actually I'm going to sell. I'm not a big fan of DSLRs for imaging. They don't hold a candle to real cameras like the other 2, which are dedicated Astro cameras, SBIG in this case.
Not those fake cameras.
A Stellar View Raptor at the top, Takahashi TOA 130 in the middle, and a Takahashi FSQ 106 on the bottom, all mounted on a Paramount, which, as I say, that has the capability, as we just saw, of tracking the ISS, but just never gotten around to doing it. I will have to try it.
I think, yeah, again, Paul has thrown the gauntlet for all of our astronomers. Like, all right, we've been asking for it, and Paul brings it again. I think we just need to have the Paul show. I'm sorry, guys, you're all fired. It's all up to you, Paul. You
no
down?
pressure then.
No pressure. No, none at all. It's. I think you're just a one-man show. I mean, let's see, you brought Mercury, Jupiter, the Moon, and the International Space Station. And what have you done, Mike?
I brought Saturn. That's pretty cool.
Bro, your image of Saturn is fantastic, man. It really is.
Well, okay, so this is the time to whip out one of the comments that you passed over. I don't know who.
I haven't got to all of them yet.
Yeah, it says, my Titan is the size of my Mars. That's what he said.
Yes. That's Derek, right?
I don't know if it's under or over. I can't tell.
Yep. So Derek, says that your Titan is, and because you've got this beast of a scope, and you've really done a great job. I mean, I've talked about this before, but the way that our astronomers have grown with the show and have been able to really up their game image-wise. I mean, I remember when we first, and this is also before we had HD. But the first time, even in our promo video that Google put out, the shaky Saturn that pops into frame, and compared to what you just showed us now, it's just night and day.
Actually, I want to share one more view before we hang out. The frame rate setting was actually pretty low, so I think it might look a little better once I get it back in here in a second.
And Fraser's IMing me back right now. I'm rubbing his nose in the fact that we've had the ISS live.
Poor Paul's going to be asked to recreate this event on demand now. Bring in the ISS again, come on! I think he summoned it on a whim anyways.
I don't know, maybe he's
Gandalf!
Yeah. Paul, are you launching your own New Zealand space station down there and just launching up stuff for us to observe?
Yeah, of course.
I'm down for that. It's like, maybe are you doing the prototype of the Dragon version 2 that SpaceX just announced? I think you should. And take the pictures. So, actually, we did touch on this a little bit, because, again, lots of awesome comments coming through here. Jim Meeker said, check the ISS off the VSP bucket list. That is true. We have done that now. But also, I know that Bill commented on this in the negative, but for those, I guess, just learning, is what would be a good resource on learning to take pictures of the night sky using a DSLR? So have you, Michael, or Paul, done any? Well, and I know that Bill has, but
I think
how did you guys get started with using DSLRs?
I think it depends on what you want, how you want to use it. I mean, there are basically two broad categories of using DSLRs. One's with camera lenses for wide field stuff of the sky, and the other is on the back of a telescope. So I think you have to know, first of all, which one of those you're primarily interested in. The easiest one, obviously, is with the camera lenses because you probably already have that. So that might be the simplest place to start because it requires something that you probably already have anyway if you have a DSLR.
Right.
I would only add that internet forums are definitely very helpful, and there's a bunch out there. But I was partial to Cloudy Nights when I was climbing the ladder, and they have a beginners forum there, and a digital SLR forum, and a planetary and deep sky one. And I think any place where you can find other people who are climbing the ladder and people who are smart and have climbed it and are willing to give advice is the place to hang out. So look for an internet forum where people are trying to figure the same thing that you're trying to figure out.
Well, I think a good thing to remind too is that if you're trying to do some long exposure on there, you might not have a telescope, but you just want to get some of the night skies. You want to make sure to get a tracking mount for it because you'll only be able to do around 30-second exposures before you start getting star trails, unless that's what you're going for. If you're doing some star trails,
right,
then it's pretty. But
star trails or time lapse.
Right. And so yeah, if you're doing time lapse, then you can just patch them together and make a nice long video sequence. Or you can even splice them from there too if you want to break it down and have it processed that way. And so it does really depend, but what comes down with pretty much everything in astrophotography is you need to have a killer mount. Having a good mount is a big key to success because that means you just don't have to worry too much in the future as far as tracking and movement and stuff like that.
That's definitely one piece of wisdom that has not changed. All of the technology has certainly gotten better. That particular piece of wisdom hasn't changed in the 25 years that I've been doing this. In the 1990, that was just as true as it is now. Spend your money on the mount if you have to make a choice.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's because you're building a foundation. If you don't have a good, you're building a house. If you don't have a good foundation, everything on it's going to wobble. And the same thing goes if you're trying to take any images on there.
Most of us, there was posted, I think it was on the Astrophotography Google group, where someone posted a link to a fellow who went through all of the equipment that he'd bought that he shouldn't have, and then had to sell because it wasn't good enough. And he spent probably, and about 3/4 of us, including myself, have made that mistake down through the years, trying to get started by going too cheap and then becoming frustrated and either giving up in one case or having to go sell that and spend more money to buy something a little bit better, and then selling that and buying something a little bit better and selling that and buying something a little bit better until you finally get what you should have maybe gotten in the first place. So I guess it would be nice to know how interested you're going to be ahead of time. That way you'd know how much money you wanted to spend ahead of time. I guess that's not a practical thing to necessarily know, but
if you know the future, you know when to go out imaging.
Well, but it's a balancing act too, right? I mean, like I had gone the direction of let's get a pretty decent set of optics and make do with what the mount was, and so I got an 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain that came in a single arm fork, and the single arm fork was weak. It had an Altaz mount, and so I couldn't do deep sky with it. So I kept adding to it, and I got frustrated with it. So sometimes it's just a matter of where you want to move the frustration. Nobody has an unlimited budget.
Some people don't.
Well, we're going to hop over here real quick. Paul, did you bring another planet for us, Paul?
Yeah, he did. He's got Mars. Son of a bitch.
I mean, clearly you have to figure out how interested you are and what aspect of the astronomer you're interested in before you really know what ultimately you might want. And
Right, and the frustration of having bad equipment certainly plays a role into you not just going out and enjoying it, right? So.
Exactly, yeah, and the equipment really can get in the way. I mean, anybody that's done astrophotography for any length of time on any kind of level knows that there are probably about seemingly 10 billion things that can go wrong at any given time, that any one of which will mess up your image.
Yep.
And the better the equipment and software and the more your knowledge, the less likely that is going to happen, but it still happens.
And I will say this, you're right, and there's a certain amount of patience and practice that comes along with overcoming some of those shortcomings. I completely overloaded my CGE to put this beastly Newtonian on there, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that I could deep sky work with it, but yeah,
I'm
really
at the leading edge of. I mean, the Paramount I've got will carry 150 pounds, but I'm I'm at about 135 right now with all the stuff I've got on it.
Really?
That's okay, but I was worried about it there for a little while when I was building the system.
Yeah, right.
Well, we have some. I'm going to start going through a lot of our user-submitted images. So if Michael, if you are able to pull up anything other than this planet,
this is all I can get right now. I got to go to bed. It's 1 o'clock for me.
If you can stay in until we off air, that would be great.
Sure.
Your view of Saturn's great. Paul, if you can conjure up another planet to view,
he's running out.
Brilliant. Fraser's been messaging me, and he actually shared an image with me that I'm going to put out here. So here is an image that Fraser's sharing with us. This is his view that he took last night, actually. Which is beautiful.
Speaking of DSLR on a tripod.
Yep, this is, let's see, this is with this T3i. So it's not as 5D, but it's T3i.
Do I see either a satellite trail or a meteor there?
I'm going to say that's a satellite trail. Because this is the 30-second exposure.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. And like we were saying earlier, too, is that this is 30 seconds, and this is when you first start seeing the stars are starting to move. So it starts looking a little bit fuzzy there.
Yeah, because focal length, yeah.
Right. So, but still, great view of the Milky Way from Vancouver. So I don't know how we got a clear sky up in Vancouver, but go you, Fraser.
Yeah, and you have to remember, 20 years ago, nobody could take an image like that.
Right. So let's see here. I'm going to pull up our event page and start loading some of these up. And also want to add, too, that if you are putting up your own images, please let us know in the details there what you took it with and also where. Let us know where in the world you are. So we can help get a better understanding of what we're looking at there. Let's see. So there's something Mike put up from Mars from, let's see, from earlier this morning. I'll let people see that later since we're already looking at Mars live from Paul. Sorry, Mike. Let's see here. This is from Jared. From Jared Jonkersley. This is taken with his Rebel XSI. Wow. All right. Screen share this. That's his 5-second exposure there. I'm wondering, is that really 5 seconds there? Now we're able to see moonshine or Earth shine on there with all this light. I wonder if it's HDR, but that's great.
What city is this? This is really cool.
I'm not sure.
Nicely done, Jared.
Yeah, very good job, Jared. I'm gonna hop up here. Let's see. This is from Steven.
Very nice.
Looking beautiful. Let's see. Zoom in here and some of the detail in there. This is M4 in the Antares region. And so for those of us watching on YouTube, I'll make sure to put in the notes on the YouTube description where you can get this link to view all these images. So they are put up here, and I can zoom in so you're able to see them in their full resolution. So here's some star trails and looks like satellite and airplanes going through from Jim Meeker. But very good job, and this is what we're talking about. Having some star trails or beautiful. Great way to get into actually understanding your camera and what it can do in the night sky is a great way to do it with setting up some star trails. That's how I got started with mine. Like, I'm just gonna have it take a really long exposure and see what happens, and then you start really understanding the capabilities of your camera. And it's from Derek here of the Pinwheel. Let us know, Derek. Put in the comments over here or something like that what you used here, because I'm not seeing anything in the EXIF data. That's a great image. Absolutely beautiful. It looks like Bill's showing off, so I'm going to switch over to Bill real quick. Wow.
This is a trick question. Would you believe this was taken from my backyard?
Nope.
No. Why would you not believe that?
Look at the dark nebulae there. I did not see that.
I think Paul could tell you where that was taken from, or pretty close.
The mountains are too big. It's not Oregon.
Yeah. That's the Large Magellanic Cloud on the right there. That was taken from down by Milford Sound when we had the only clear night that we had down there when we were in New Zealand. And actually, the cliffs there were illuminated by about a quarter moon.
This might be a first, too. I know it's not a live shot, but because that's on my bucket list. I want to get down to the southern hemisphere. I'm a northern born and bred, but this Magellanic Clouds and all the different constellations.
I know that Paul's brought us the tarantula before.
That's true, yes.
Yeah, see, Paul's already got you beat, man. It's like it's like trying to do something anymore in animated video. Simpsons already did it. Always the Simpsons.
He's avoided Saturn, though. I've noticed he hasn't tried that one yet.
I love how Paul stays silent in all this while I'm just talking smack for him. So that's right.
He doesn't need to speak. I mean, look what he's doing. It's awesome.
That's right. I'm loud enough as it is. So here's from Howard using the SLU system. So this is the Swan Nebula. Thanks for showing us that, Howard. This is Michael Phillips guy showing his stuff for Saturn. Now, why can't you bring stuff like that live, huh?
Oh, you know what? I won't say anything more than someone was actually doing that, and it was really, really, really bad. So.
And again here with Derek, the Black-Eyed Nebula here. I love it. You can actually see it in there, the dark lane. And here's one from Vance. So Vance Macaulay there. He's using his T3i. Oh, his great view of Saturn as well. And yeah, so you're able to see the Cassini division in there.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing Bill was talking about. We were talking about the shift in the format here, right? Looking at a processed image is different than looking at a live view, right? They both have their strong points, but look at how cool that is.
Right. Well, and I think this allows us to dig into things like we were talking tonight as well. The way to get into it and process it. So, we have about 5 minutes left here. I'm going to head on back over to Paul's embiggened image of Mars, and I'm going to try to hop on the last few of these questions coming in.
Is it getting darker?
I also have an example of a time lapse here I can run when you have a chance.
All right, yeah, go for it. Screen is yours, sir.
You see it? Have you got it up there now?
Yep.
Okay, I'll start it. I used a program called LRT Timelapse, which allows you to do a pan. This happens to be taken with about a 3/4 moon, looking almost straight up, so the moon was illuminating the trees. You can see the shadows shifting as the moon moves across the sky, the shadows of the trees. And then the sky, of course, turning. It isn't as contrasty a sky because of the moon, but that's the kind of thing you can do with nothing more than an intervalometer, a lens, and a DSLR and a tripod.
That, or now what I have on my T3i is I have Magic Lantern. It has a built-in intervalometer.
Okay, yeah, you can do that, or Canon Backyard EOS, which allows you to do it with the computer. It's about I think $40 program, something like that. If you do time lapse, there's also a very good piece of software that works with Lightroom called LRT Timelapse. Not terribly expensive. It allows you to pan and zoom and rotate within the frame, as well as adjusting your exposures as the time lapse progresses. Works very well for nighttime stuff.
Very cool. Actually, real quick here, because we did talk about it, I want to make sure that this question gets answered. What is a good tracking mount that the average person, so maybe like an entry-level solid mount for doing some astrophotography? What would you guys recommend as far as getting into it, but want to buy something quality, not have to worry about it wobbling all over the place?
Boy, that's a tough one. I guess it depends upon your price range, like most things. Any of the lighter weight astrophysics mounts would probably be a good choice, although they're a little bit spendy.
And by spendy, we're talking a couple of thousand, or
No, more than that, probably in the 5,000 range.
5,000? Okay. Mike, any recommendations you think?
I've never owned one, but I think in between the CGE and the single arm fork I had for my 8-inch is the CG5. I think a lot of people find some pretty good success with the Celestron mid-range or low-end range.
And I think you guys brought up a big thing too. I don't know if Mr. Talkie, Paul, do you have any recommendations?
No.
Silent bringing the universe.
No. Are you are you in the middle of conjuring up a new planet before we leave?
No, I think we've run out of planets for the day.
But do you have any recommendations as far as mounts go?
Not entry level, no.
No? Okay. So I think what you guys brought up earlier too is get into forums and find out what people recommend or what to avoid. I think is a good thing to at least start out. What do you want to avoid? And then give, especially I know with a lot of forums on technologies, if you give people your price range, they tend to be able to help you find something that's going to be working best for you. So I'm going to do another quick pass here because we are running out of time. So Eric Briggs here. Is there something stopping us setting up our own VSPs through YouTube, Google+? So it would be more suitable, different people use. You guys can, a lot of you guys have just started streaming live. I know Paul has done it a lot. Go for it. The Virtual Star Party is just the name of our show that we've been doing for the last 2.5 years. But by all means, many times I've jumped in on you guys. You guys are streaming like, hey, let me come play. This is fun. And so I think that's the biggest thing about it. This is a big community of some awesome, awesome people that I feel very privileged to be able to work with all the time. And so by all means, Eric or anybody else, if you guys are doing any live streaming, please do it and let the rest of us know. That's the best part of it, is we can actually share this all out. I'm seeing Sterling as again giving a happy birthday to the Queen Mom. If she wasn't live, then it wasn't she alive when we discovered Saturn. I don't think she's that old. I don't believe so. All right. Well, again, lots of great questions, comments, and again, thank you guys all for not biting my head off. But it really is to really solidify having a really good show each and every time, and allows us to add a little bit more production value to it and set it up in the way we want to. And we'll be able to get more special guests since we're able to plan them ahead of time, find people that have dates that are going on with it. So do want to run through our group tonight and thank everyone. So going from left to right on my end, Bill, thank you very much for joining in and showing us and giving us your tips.
Running another video as we speak, but and hopefully I contributed something here anyway.
Well, we're always happy to have you, Bill, and again, thank you. Head over to Michael.
Hello.
Thank you for bringing your Saturn and sticking with us to the very end here. I really appreciate it. And actually, I wanted to ask everyone here too. Bill, we were talking about this beforehand. Do you have a site where people can find your own astrophotography and things like that?
nightskypictures.com.
Very cool. And you should be able to see our viewers, if you're on Google+, you'll be able to find the links to their profiles and stuff like that. What about you, Michael?
I pretty much go by the odd, because my name is common, I go by the odd username MAPHILLI14. So if you do a search for that, you'll find me pretty much all over the place. MaPhilly14.
Nice. And on Twitter now. And
yes, on Twitter too. Yes.
Finally.
Yeah.
Paul, again, you just bring in your A game again. Thank you for showing up. I know that it's a holiday out there, but you just do it. Where can people find more from you?
UpsideDownAstronomer.com.
Yes. Best URL ever.
That's cool.
And also AstroStew on Twitter. I know he's a lot more talkative on Twitter. Talks a lot more smack. So what he doesn't say live on the VSP, he does do on Twitter. Trust me. So again, thank you all for watching and joining us. We will be back either on the 29th of June or the 6th of July. We haven't solidified which one of those dates, but that it's going to be either one of those. We will work on that, and Fraser and I will be releasing a big announcement of everything going on there too, in written and visual form. Again, if you guys have any of your astrophotography, please put it into the event page. Go ahead and give us a follow on Twitter at @the_VSP, and make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also to Fraser Cain's YouTube channel, because that's where we go live from. We will see you in a month, and keep those questions rolling in, because I will try to answer them when we get off air. So again, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you later.
Night, everybody.